GEEK Files, 2026, January 2nd. So now that we've covered off the caribou, let's go back to the start of this aviation thing. I think I've mentioned that I wound up in doing my aviation, whatever they call it, pre-apprenticeship, schooling at Northern Lights College in Dawson Creek because Canada Manpower would pay me for one term, would keep my unemployment going for one term, and because Northern Lights College didn't split up the training, the 1 year of schooling, into two parts like BCIT did, I went to Northern Lights in Dawson Creek. Now, Dawson Creek in '84 is not like Dawson Creek now. It was pretty northern BC. Start of the Alcan was its big claim to fame. Northern Lights College was an aircraft-based part of the Pine Tree Line. Most people know the DEW line, the Defense Early Warning Line, that's in the high Arctic, that was put up 50s because everyone was scared the Soviets were going to come over the pole. But there was also a second line of defense called the Pine Tree Line that actually had fighters at it. And one of those bases was in Dawson Creek. So the hangar was a big metal building with power doors. So it's very military. I think it had copper paint on it that was grounded because they were scared of electromagnetic pulses from thermonuclear weapons wiping out all the avionics and electronics in the aircraft. The residences, the women's residence was the bachelor officers' quarters, the transient officers' quarters, and the guys' residence was the transient or bachelor enlisted. So the difference being the women's residence, each room had its own bathroom, whereas the guys, we shared a bathroom. I can't remember if I was the first or the third registered or certified pre-apprenticeship program that the college ran. But it was one of those. It was really early, and I tend to fall into this. My engineering was when I went to UVic, my engineering degree was the first or third as well of certified programs. They had built a new building for the cafeteria and administration. I can't remember how the cafeteria ran. And there was another building that housed the welding courses. So they also ran the certification, the whatever the welders do for their education when they're going to get their ticket, because like pipelines were still a big thing. And that was it. I mean, it was pretty. I mean, the nearest big city would be Grand Prairie. Which we went to a lot. The Golden Hotel saw a lot of our faces. But that was about it. I mean, it was fairly backwoods. We had our instructors were Doug Arnold. He was I think the three instructors were all ex-Air Force mechanics. Doug Arnold certainly was, and he spent a lot of time in Europe in the 60s. Really calm, knowledgeable man. Mr. Beach was this 60-year-old guy who wandered around muttering, but he knew his stuff too. And then Gordon Beach, who was the youngest of the three, but was a bit out of his depth. He thought how am I going to put this? He thought he deserved more respect than he was given. Let's put it that way. There wasn't much in the way of facilities there. It was for the aircraft. They had been given an Aerospatiale, I can't remember which helicopter. We had a Beechcraft, a twin-engine Beechcraft. There was a Merlin that didn't run, but it was all there. Beach had his Citabria that he had students working on covering. And I know that there was a Cessna 180 that was in tough shape that Jeff Shipley and I beat metal on. I don't remember if there's anything else. Probably was, but it's a long time ago. Class intake, there was two classes of 16, 6 months apart. Intakes in September and March. So I went in September, so I was as the juniors. A lot of my classmates were either guys who had experience as mechanics, as aircraft mechanics, and wanted to shortcut, get the training and finally get signed off so they could write their final exams. A couple of new guys, lots of farm kids who knew how to jerk wrenches, as well as a couple of helicopter pilots who discovered in Canada, as a helicopter pilot, you're worth more if you have your mechanic's license, because at that time, helicopter pilots were terminal bush. You spent most of your time in the bush, so they wanted someone there in the bush who could sign off the aircraft and do the light inspections. We had a tool crib. We had numbered discs. We're all given a number, and we're given a numbered disc. And if you wanted a tool, you had to put in your disc and got to get the tool. And if you didn't bring back the tool, then you were on the hook for the price of the tool. It was, I think we actually had a small toolbox as well. And that was inventoried when you left. And if you were missing stuff, you're given a list and it was inventoried. And if you're missing it, then you were charged for it. So it was quite, really like the industry. Like that, just one of the great things about that place was you really were working like it was the industry. Small, tight classes. You knew everybody. Yeah. So I'm not going to really talk much about, the classes. I mean, I had a degree. I'd done grade 13, had a degree. I knew the academic game that you play. So this is going to be more personal stories about nonsense that we got up to in our class. There was a lot of it. Yeah, aviation, man, time to spare, go by air.